Back at it. Oh, where do we do this? Yes, we are working on the pinned notification. Sweet. I'm having a change of heart about something. Um, mm, Not, yeah, a bit of a change of heart. Let's go to our URLs. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I want to allow my list view to return to have some filters so that I can basically be like, I want all the ones that are pinned or the ones that aren't pinned, or just all of them. So to be able to do that, I need to update my announcement filter. And we need to basically allow is pinned to be something we can do. Reason I want to do this is I still want to use the same endpoint right here, which is the pinned announcement endpoint. To get this one, because I purposely don't want to use pagination. Or do we? No. Oh, we do. Oh, right. I do use pagination. I just fix it on the client side and not worry about there. So here's what I'm thinking. We're gonna get rid of this. I know. Get rid of that. Is pin true? Is pin false? We're gonna get rid of this too. We're gonna go back to our URLs, and we're actually gonna get rid of our pinned 1, 2. We're gonna save all that. Then what we're gonna do on our announcement data source, for listing pinned, we're still gonna hit this endpoint, but we're actually going to make is pinned equals true. So basically we're saying in the list pinned ones, we only want the ones that are pinned by a filter, and this will just get all of them. And what I'm also going to do is create one called list unpinned. There is a reason I want to do this. And then this will basically be parameters is pinned false. And we are gonna refactor this because we have a lot of duplication here. Let me just make sure something. List pinned, list unpinned. Ooh. We're gonna copy this one instead. Because I actually want pagination on this one, just in case. So for here, we just have to make is pinned equals false. Okay, then we do need to go to our announcement data source, and we have list pinned. We need to have list, although list unpinned is going to be basically just like this one. The reason I basically want to do this is I want to have, this list of all the ones that aren't pinned, this one of the ones that are pinned, and I'm going to enforce on the server you can only have one pinned at a time just so it doesn't screw the UI. However, if you click on all announcements, I want to see all of them here. And that's why we're going to need these 3 different ways of doing that. Okay, so we now have that, and then we do have to go to our announcement repository, and we're going to basically do the same kind of thing. Take that one, list unpinned, then we'll go to our problems, and we'll see the concrete implementation is missing, and we're basically going to copy the list one. We'll put it here, list unpinned, And this just calls the list unpinned. Okay. Okay. Now in our, let's just make sure. Oh, looks like my Flutter app is not properly running right now. Probably because my computer slept. Let's just fully quit. Let us relaunch the simulator. Let's also make sure our web server is still running. Chance it's not. Oh, here we go. We do have an import we can't have anymore. Got to get rid of that. And we're back on this, which is good. And we will just run on iOS develop. Okay. So yeah, just this is gonna be a bit of a refactor just to, I think make all this a lot cleaner. Okay, so now what we would want to do is on our presentation of this, we should have some widgets here. So we have the pinned announcements widget. This should still work the same. Yeah, it does. Now this one right here, this shouldn't have been coming back unless I'm not. Oh yeah, that's working exactly how it should right now. Okay, so we need to find the list for the home list. And in the home list, instead of basically in the provider that is going to get the announcement paginated list. Actually, let's see how this works. Let's just start at the start, or almost the start. So we have our home screen. We have the welcome widget, whether announcement home list widget. So this is this, and it's supposed to be getting back all. Do I pass in something different here? Where did my home screen go? Yeah, so we're just using the default of all. And then we are watching this, which is this. And right here, we actually want to use, yeah, okay, I know what we can do. Okay, so let's see, let's make another variant. We're gonna have all, we're gonna have pinned, and we're gonna have unpinned. And we are going to, in here on our home screen, sorry, this one right here, we are going to put in, this thing's all, oh yeah, this will actually be fine because our variant for the home list digit should actually be unpinned. We only want the unpinned ones. Then back in here, we essentially are going to create a variable called this, called result. And this will be a final late, or a late final, I think is the correct order, late final. And that way we can kind of do like result equals this. Because what we actually need to do is switch on our variant. And let's see if we can get the auto include. Yes, we do. Okay, so basically for this case, for all, yeah, we basically will do this. For pinned, we are going to do pinned, list pinned. Because I know, yeah, that makes sense. And then for unpinned, we're going to do this. Which brings me to the next thing I think we're going to do is we're actually going to rework our data source here. Let's just go to the data source and we're going to actually, yeah, go back to our paginated response thing here. So we're going to get a million errors for that, which is totally fine. Future, this sort of thing. And really what we want to return now is what we were doing before. Again, we're going to refactor this because these are all basically the same thing. We'll get to that. We're going to have a repository issue. We need to also do the same thing here. So we're not going to return list anywhere. We are going to return a paginated response. However, in our use case for this, we're never going to call the second page because that's not going to be something we're going to allow. Okay, so now this should now return a paginated response to this. Okay. Oh yes, we also need to carry back over these guys to here. And does that mean we have to do? Yeah, we basically need to grab all this list pinned, and then we pass in page. What's the other one? Limit. And then we need to go here and also say for this, there's going to be some parameters now, all that sort of stuff. Save everything, whatever. List pinned. Do I not even have? I don't think I'm making use of the page anyways. What the heck? Rams. Order by ID. Yeah, that's weird. Okay, there we go. Then here, when we list the page, we want to use page 1, and we can even just do limit 1. This is the pinned announcement list provider. We can just make limit 3 or whatever. Okay, so now what we need to do is we'll just call this data, because this is actually like the paginated response now, and we want to use data.results because that'll be the list of what we want. And now we are back and working. Something I love, at least about Dart and VS Code and everything, is like making a refactor like that. If I was trying to do that in JavaScript, I feel like you don't get as good. I mean, the type safety, everything, like you can't really do that as easily and get all the little warnings up here and everything. It's kind of nice. Okay, so now what I want is essentially this one is going to have all the announcements, which it does. This one's just using that. Okay, yeah, I mean, I think everything's working the way I want. And then we'll go all announcements. So let's try just dismissing this one. This should be dismissed from the all announcement, or no, it doesn't get dismissed there. You can always see them here. However, I can restore dismissed, and it is back. Beauty. Okay, I think we're kind of set on that. Big announcement. And you can still click this. Yeah. So you can still click it. You can still see the more details. Yeah, it's perfect. It's almost perfect. Right, the refactor. So we're going to go to our, it would be our data source for announcement. Son of a bitch. We want this one. So yeah, basically these 3 things that are exactly the same. The only difference is that it has different parameters, right? So what we could do, oh, speaking of, why isn't page and limit isn't being respected here? We should really be, essentially putting in like page equals that, da da da. That was just an oversight by me, probably. Do I have, I forget if I have a way to do that or not. So this is client. Yeah. So just want to see if I have like build ordering. Okay. I'm not gonna worry about that. Because yeah, we should be in here saying page equals page and limit equals limit, right? And really these ones should also have that too. Boom. And boom. Okay, so basically these 3 are the exact same thing. The only difference is the fact that we're passing in a is pinned option. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try this. We're going to essentially have this, but with an underscore. We're going to make it kind of like private. We're still going to pass an int in of page. We're going to have a, let's make it required int of limit. And we're going to have a Boolean that actually could be null called is pinned. async, boom. And then basically what I'm going to do now is take everything in here. So now we have 4 of these, but you'll see why in a minute, why this is going to be great. Did I miss it? Did I miss something? I missed the try. I missed the try. I didn't copy everything. And then basically what we can do here is we can say if is pinned does not equal null. So when you have a nullable Boolean, it becomes kind of like a trinary data type, which I like using when it makes sense. So this could either be, true, false, or null. In the case that's not null, I actually want to set it. So I would basically just say params is pinned is equal to is pinned. But I don't want to just set it as null. I either want to set it to true or false or not actually even just like completely omit it. So then we have this. Then basically what we can do here is we can, in our normal list, we can return list and we just pass page and limit. And we can, verbosely say is pinned null, but not passing it will make it null anyways. So we're good there. And really, we don't even need to say that's async anymore because this is returning an async. So there, boom. So now we can do that. We can also do the same thing here. Return, but now we actually need to pass is pinned equals true. We want to say yes, only do that. And similar here. This is the kind of stuff I live for, is when it's like, how can we make this way more dry? All of our complicated code here is, set and good. We only wrote it once. And here we're just making use of this thing. So this is a private function. It's not overriding anything. It's just something that only this data source has access to. And it's just, a nice little helper. Because this isn't something we would necessarily want to call. I want to make endpoints that, we can call specifically. We could have chosen to just have the list one and allow our callers to use this. But I think this is pretty nice. So let's make sure that still works. Where did my freaking Flutter? Where did my little guy go? What is going on here? Debugger? Play? Where's my little green arrow? God damn it. How do I well, I know it's like, I mean, I'm seeing it's hot reloading. Cool. But I need more than that. I need more to make sure that this is in fact getting my new stuff. Latest I mean, we don't have any errors, do we? Nope. So we're good. I don't know what's happening to my little green arrow. I feel like this is like a situation where I should just restart VS Code. So I am gonna do that right now. I'm actually gonna quit my simulator. I'm going to exit VS Code, but specifically actually quit it fully. And we'll get that booted back up now. We'll keep Docker. It's fine. Let's see. We'll get this back open. And we'll get our simulator launched again, rather. Hey, we've updated. And we will actually go this now because I was running all my backend stuff through Docker and not right through, my terminal here. I don't have to worry about restarting any of that stuff, so that's good. And Xcode build is done. Yeah. Boom. Okay, so we have the big announcement here, which is the pin one. We don't have that. Let's just make sure also that, everything's good. But we have both. We should have both of them in the all announcements list. Beautiful. Cool. This calls for a commit. So what do? We did event RSVPing, and we've done announcement pinning. Probably some other stuff too, but I think that's a pretty good summary. Okay, what's next? Let me look at my notes. Yeah, we could dive into ordering. So this app is going to have the ability to do like room service sort of stuff. So being able to order food. um, and let me think, where do you even do that? That's events. So we're getting event booking Verge. Yeah, in-loft dining. So essentially, we're going to have a way to, um, fill out a form to order something. Now, I have some of the backend for this done already. We have menu categories and menu items. So the category, salad and snacks, and then menu items are connected to a category. So you'll see these are all connected to salad and snacks. That's the only one that I have in this test data. What I want to do, because I don't want to, I don't want to build this where it has to call and get all the categories, and then it has to call and get all the menu items for each category. That's a lot of API calls. That's annoying to deal with. That, if one goes wrong, it's going to seem like it worked, but then, you're going to be missing half of the menu. We don't want that. So let's go back to we're gonna go to the back end for a little bit here, and we're gonna go to our API, and we're gonna go to so we have menu category, menu item. I kind of want to make a new. I guess we could put this within menu item. So we kind of have something to get the list create view. Like, it's just my standard boilerplate, right? For every model. You have your list create view, you have your, retrieve, update, destroy views, and they're all just using the generics based on these settings here. But what I actually want to create is essentially something called class. It's like retrieve menu view, which is just going to be using none of the mix it. In fact, it's actually just going to be using a generic API view, because this is going to be a little bit custom. And this will just be a GET request. So I can just basically copy this. And what I want to do is get all the, I don't necessarily have to get the cat. I don't want to make a lot of database calls. I think we're just going to get the menu items. And because they're going to have the category, but then I'm going to like parse the data and kind of do it in a nice organized way. Like, essentially, I want to kind of return, like, just as an example, let's just do this. I'm trying to return something like, I guess we could say, categories, and then we'd have a list within that, and we'd have, something called like name, because that's all that really matters, salads, whatever, and then items or something. And here we would have a list of, all this sort of stuff. And this would be the actual like menu item serialized. So first of all, we need to get all the items. So good list. So we could just say like menu items equals menu item, which is not actually probably imported here. So let's get that from dot models import menu item. So we got menu item dot objects dot all. Oops, what am I meant to click on this? So we get all of them. I guess we can filter them by is active equals true because we don't care about ones like that. We also want to make sure, well, we're going to order them by the sort order after because they're going to be within, yeah, we'll get to that. Okay, we have price, we have whatever. Okay, cool. So that would give us all our menu items. Then we essentially need to create like what's called like a grouping. So maybe we'll call it like category grouping. And this will be predict. Now, this is something in the past I mean now I could figure out the code for this. This is a perfect time to use some AI though. Um, because it's just bullshit stuff that we need to figure out. So we are going to pull up our good friend Claude here, and I'm just going to give him a little prompt on a API endpoint that provides the entire menu, but I want the data to be grouped by the categories. We're using menu item, menu item category. Let's put this in brackets. I started this in API menu item slash views.py. I want the output to be something like this with no pagination. Because yeah, I also don't want to like paginate a menu. It should just give you it all in one call. And then Claude's going to do a bit of stuff for me. It's going to first understand a little bit more about the project. I do have a Claude.md in here, but it doesn't have anything to do with the menu stuff, so it's going to figure some things out for us. It's examining the current menu item view implementation. But this is basically the data we, want to give back to our Flutter side. Zoom, zoom. Yeah, so then we're going to be, this will be, and then what's cool, so we have this and this one. They're going to actually be basically the same thing with just a slight difference. Whether you're ordering catering or in loft, it's almost the same. There's just a little bit different stuff you don't have to, or there's some extra stuff we need to capture in the catering one. Oh wow, we're taking our time here. Okay, well that's going. Let's think about how we're going to do this on the front end. Waste no time. Okay, so we have all the stuff for the models and whatever. Yeah, basically for this, like we will need still like our, keep the clean architecture stuff. We're still gonna need our data source and input, data source and repository stuff. But then, yeah, we're just gonna have a pretty simple screen that gets that data, one off. It doesn't have to, do anything super special. And we'll be able to, put it in there and then actually start creating what is going to be called an order. Let's actually, well, let's look at order model order.py. Type. Okay, yes. So there's right, there's going to be an order. But there's also if we look in the content models, we have where's order? Order and order item. So order item is actually the link to the menu item, the quantity, the actual user themselves. And it essentially is going to be connected. Oh, yeah, this is missing stuff because we need a reference to the order itself that it's going to be creating, I think is how I intended on doing this. Okay, well, it seems like something got pretty lost there. let's see. There we go. I don't know. Illegal operation on a directory. It seems to be actually doing stuff now, which is nice. All right. And let's see what it does, and then we'll walk us through some stuff. Okay, yeah, we'll allow these imports and whatnot to happen. Yeah, so we're gonna get rid of that. Let's just put this in. So yeah, it's getting all these. It's prefetching the related of, oh, and then it's going through the actual categories. Okay, so it is getting the categories, but then it's getting the items that are part of it instead of the other way around. That makes sense. And it's going through the categories, and it's essentially active items are those. Yeah, if it exists, then it adds it in. Yep, that makes sense. Cool. Okay, so we do need a URL for this too. And really in this case, yeah, we can just, for now at least, just use this, get rid of this, get rid of this. Retrieve menu view. Retrieve, yeah. Because really we don't need any of this stuff. Look, we'll clean that up after. All right, so let's see. And we should probably have permission classes. I'm going to do, for now at least, allow any. We'll probably change that to his authenticated, but this just makes it easier to test this out. So it's going to be API slash menu, probably menu dash item. Oh, sorry, it's not API, it's v1. So there we go. We have categories, and it gives you the ID and the subtitle, whether it's active or not. We should probably also make sure, yeah, is active true. So if a category is turned off, it won't come back. And then we see all the pieces within it. So this is nice. This is exactly what we want to work with. All right, cool. So now let's go and close the stuff. And let's go to our Flutter side. And for menu item, domain models, we're going to have something called menu response .dart. And we probably might as well do this as a freezed thing so we can easily have the from JSON and stuff. So I'm going to actually grab this for reference. Yeah, we're not going to need that. But let's just grab some of this stuff. Let's grab this ignore as well. And we don't need that, but we're going to call this menu response dot freezed. And let's just go boom, boom, boom. And this will be called menu response. And within here, we have to have our things. So let's look back at this. Yeah, because we're going to have essentially a list of, we're actually going to have at least two models here. So we're going to have the menu response, but we're also going to have the menu response category. Let's start there, actually. Oops, I didn't mean to. I just want to change these ones. Do. Menu response category. Because we're going to set the shape of what one category looks like, which is basically going to be these sorts of things here. So it's going to be pretty, I mean, it's basically going to be similar to category. Oops, category model, menu category model. Um, all these lovely things. Really all we care about is the title and the subtitle from the front end's point of view. So let's just worry about that. String title, we're gonna require it, and required string subtitle. But then what we want is a list of menu item, and we'll just use the one that exists because this is exactly what menu items are set as, and we'll just call this items. And this is also, well, I could make it required. It would probably work, but we can just actually set a default of an empty list. And then what this actually is, this response right here is going to be, what's wrong here? Hang on. List menu item. What did I do wrong here? Oh, wait, what? Is this just because it hasn't run the generator yet? I don't think so. List match the visible name required. What? What is going on? Let's get rid of my, I think, does the default go before? Okay, let's just make it required. Cool. Then for here, we're actually going to have a list of called categories. And this will be required. Okay. So this is what we'll actually get back from the database, which really is just going to have this list of categories, which is a list of these things right here, which then have the list of that. Makes sense? I hope so. Right, let's run our generator. Make gen. Great. So now, although, yep, these things all generated and we're good. Okay, so now we're going to want to make sure in our menu items in our data source, I'm going to get rid of a bunch of stuff. This is all just my boilerplate. And this won't be a paginated response. This will be a menu. What was our model called? Menu response. So we're just going to be a feature, a menu response, and we're going to just call it retrieve, for example. And there's no parameters, at least yet. We might have one to do something. I forget if we will need to, but this is all that our data source is going to happen or is going to need. And we're going to do the same for our repository. So all we need is essentially a menu response. And we need one more little guy. We're going to call it retrieve as well. I think I spelled that wrong. And no parameters. So I like to keep, my my repositories and my data sources with the same, same shape, at least in terms of the parameters of the function. Okay, so now we're gonna have a ton of errors, which is really fun. So we're going to literally get rid of everything in this file. And now we're going to actually create the one missing override. And for this, this is the data source. Right, so maybe I shouldn't delete everything yet. Let's keep it for now. And we're just going to change the retrieve one to do response. We get menu item, but there won't be an ID. And this is actually going to be returning our menu response. And we're just doing, I think it's just slash menu item. We might even just change that to slash menu. And here we would just do this. Then we will get rid of everything else. and get rid of some unused imports. Similarly, in here, we'll keep the retrieve one, get rid of the other guys, and we'll change retrieve to our liking. So this will be a menu response. It is not going to have this, and it's going to use the data source.retrieve and work exactly as expected. Okay, so now we have a whole bunch of errors, and that's because we have all this boilerplate to do things like listing, editing, creating, all that kind of stuff. We're going to clear out a ton of this. And actually, let's start with menu category because we never really have to interact with this, except we do just want this model, really. But that makes me also wonder, I feel like we can just move this stuff into the menu item. So we'll go to domain, models. We're going to take all of this stuff. I don't care about the variant, but we're going to move all this stuff into here. And hopefully we get everything kind of gets fixed up. Then we are going to get rid of menu category altogether because the only thing I need from it is the model. I hope that's right. If not, we are version controlled. Okay, now in menu item, we're still gonna have a bunch of errors, obviously, but there's a lot of stuff we don't need anymore. Like I'm almost tempted to just completely delete this. Yeah, we are deleting everything in the presentation folder for now. Yay. Yeah, that's safe. Safe enough. So now we got rid of that. And we're going to have a ton of errors because this is going to be wanting like all this sort of stuff. Let's get rid of the routes too, because this is just going to be a page that we can just show. Okay. And then for data, we still need this. We still need this. For domain, we need our data source. We need our models. Yeah, we need all of those. Actually, wait, we don't even need menu category because we're creating it. Yeah, we don't even need this. My bad. Fuck yeah. Deleting you because we kind of already created one for this that didn't have all the same things because I don't care about all that stuff. And then menu item. Yeah, I don't even want to have the category in the menu item because it's just we already know what the category is based on this sort of stuff. So we're actually going to also get rid of that stuff. We're also going to get rid of these things. We'll keep the label, sure. Okay, so we're gonna have to rerun our generator naturally, but we'll keep all that. Providers. We need our data source provider, yes. We need our item the repository provider, yeah. Okay, so I think that's all we need. Now order item is having a problem too. Part of me just wants to fully delete that and start it over because this is a pretty custom thing. This isn't our typical CRUD. I'm just gonna delete this and then, or let's see, let's just fix up the error in here. I don't want to go completely nuts deleting stuff. We're gonna keep this for now and then, at least we're good there. Okay, so I think the only issue we have is the fact that our generator needs to run. So let's run our generator. Then I do see your question in the chat. This code, no, is not actually like public open source, but the framework it's built in is. GitHub.com. So if you want to check it out, I will put it in here. So all the same patterns and stuff I'm using is following this. It's a big it's a big framework though. It's basically has a CLI to do dev stuff. It has 3 different backend options: Django, server pod, and Superbase, and then it has the Flutter side, which is like the clean architecture. But I imagine this is the part you'd be interested in looking at, and you can of course check it out. And it's the same all the same stuff that I'm showing here. Okay, we shouldn't have any problems now. Amazing. Oh, this feels good because it's kind of like now like a fresh new feature we get to build because all we have is the models and the data source stuff. So what we'll do is we'll go to our, this is kind of part of bookings. We're going to go to our booking, probably list screen. Is that where this comes from? Yeah, new booking, upcoming booking. And we'll find the thing for our, we're going to just do in-loft dining. So this is where we're going to actually like bring someone to a screen. So in our booking features, booking presentation, booking routes, we're going to have a go route in here. This we're going to rename. But yeah, we're going to make a screen. We're going to make a friggin' screen, guys. Menu item, domain, sorry, presentation, new folder called screens. So we're going to make a new file called um, ordering screen. Call this dining. We'll call it like dining menu screen because I don't want to call it menu screen. It's like that makes it feel like it's like a menu in your app, like the main menu or the footer or whatever. So dining menu screen dot dart. We're going to make a stateless. We'll start with the stateless consumer and we'll call it dining menu screen. But instead of using consumer widget, we're going to use our base screen. We need widget ref. We need to do body, not build. We need our widget ref. We're going to have an app bar on this. So we'll have an app bar. And for now, I'm going to hard code this to work for in-loft dining. App bar, title, text, in loft dining. But it will be something that we, will allow to be overridden to also be used for catering. And let's just return like text that says test 1, 2, 3. We can get rid of that. And we need to just import material, please. Get out of here, widgets. Stop importing that stuff. Okay, so for here, we want to use our dining menu screen, which we will import as well. And I want to remember how I do this. So we'll make a route. Oops, I meant to put this up here. This will be called dining menu. Sure. Doesn't really matter what it is. This won't be a web app, so people won't see it, but as long as it's unique, it'll be fine. Great. Okay, so now let's go to our booking list screen where we were talking about this, and we're going to do context dot, I think, push, and we want to push to our dining menu screen dot route. Oops. Dot route. Okay. And what was it? In-loft dining? 404, page not found. Hang on, green arrow. We add new routes. They don't. There we go. Look, we got our test 1, 2, 3, and we have in-loft dining. Beautiful. Yeah. Now, we want to make a widget. So we'll call this dining menu widget dot dart. This will be we'll use also a consumer, stateless consumer, dining menu widget. However, we want to use our lovely base component instead. Import a couple things. We want to import material, and we want to import from RiverPod. And we'll just change this to body. So this will essentially have to do some stuff. This is where we actually return our stuff, but on our menu screen, we want to return the widget. And this is just a pattern I like. I usually want my screens to be as minimal as possible in most cases, and they just ultimately return, a widget for the body and whatever. So now if we were to click on this, we should just see a blank screen because it's just a container now. So what we need now is actually a provider. Providers. So we're going to have, we'll just call it, dining menu provider dot dart. And let's just open up any one of our other providers for reference. That is, I think this will give us, yep, okay. So this is the stuff we need. We need this, and we need our riverpod annotation to get this riverpod thing, and we want to name this dining menu provider. So we're going to call this class dining menu, and it's going to extend dining menu, which is something we're going to be generating. And we need to have a build. This will be overriding something, and it's going to ultimately return a menu response. We might refactor that and call it dining menu response, because I'm starting to like that a little bit more. Actually, we're going to do this a totally different way. Let me open up another kind of provider, just any of our detail providers. Yeah, so we'd still keep this, but we can just do riverpod like that. And instead of a class, we are going to have a future of a menu response. And we'll just call this dining menu. And it's going to have a ref, which is what this is telling me to do. We should just be using ref. Doesn't matter. So we'll have a ref there, and then we don't need any parameters. It will be async, and we're going to do final result equals await ref.read. So we're going to do our dining or our menu item repository provider dot retrieve. And that's the stuff we made a little bit ago, right? We have our retrieve. It does all the fun stuff. And then we essentially want to, oops, what the heck? Return this. We want to return, and we'll just call this menu or something, because this is actually giving an instance of a menu response. Okay. So now we have this lovely provider. We have to generate this code, because it's going to do a bunch of cool stuff under the hood. It's almost done. Yay. So now we actually have this generated code, like that we'll never touch. Will be removed and use ref instead. Okay, cool. So now we can go back to our, oh yeah, I did make a change there. We'll just keep it, that's fine. So here we want to get something called, data equals ref.read or ref.watch. And we want to be watching our dining menu provider, which is what we just made. And what is this actually? This is an async value. So here what we do is we return data.when, and there's three different cases that could happen, right? It could be loading. So when we're loading, we're just going to return I think I have something called a centered loader or something. Maybe it's just called loader. So there's just this custom component, super basic. It's just a center wrapped around a circular progress indicator, but I prefer to do it this way because if we ever want to change our loader to something more classy, we would just change in this one spot. So there's our lovely loader. What other cases do we have? There could be an error. And for the error, we actually have both the error itself and the stack trace. But we're not going to use the stack trace. And in this case, we are going to return maybe just some text that actually has the error dot toString, because the error is not actually, what is it? It's just an object. Okay, then we're missing one more thing, which is actually like it worked. We got the data back. So we'll just call this menu, sure. And in this case, we want to return something cooler. So dining menu widget. And this is where we'd actually, return something. Test 456. Okay, so let's see if our stuff is working. We go to in-loft dining and we see test 456. So it, in theory, worked. So this menu is actually, I swear, I used to click through. How do you do this again? Here, you have to do this. Hold this button, go to definition. There's probably another way. So our menu response has a list of categories, and then within it has that sort of stuff. So we're going to return a list view dot builder here. And our item builder, we have first context and index now, so we don't make a mistake like we did before. We do want to make sure we have our item count, and our item count is going to be whatever the menu dot categories dot length is, because that's where we're looping through all the categories. And then within here, just for now, let's just return text. Let's actually get access to the category. Category equals, so we'd use menu dot categories at that index. And this should be a menu response category. Yep. And we can just do like category dot title or something. Salad and snacks. There we go. Now, within here, we actually want to return another list of things. So we could just have this in a column and have all the things in there, and that's probably fine. I'm also tempted to have another list view builder within here. So it'd be like list views within list views. But I do think doing this as a column is just going to be a better time. Okay, so we'd have our column, and then we would actually spread on category.items dot map. So we're going to map through all of them. Item. And here we would return something. So we might return a text, for instance, of item dot title for now. And we want to make sure that the main axis size on this is minimum. Otherwise, it'll try and take up space, and we don't want to do that. So now we actually see this stuff. Our column, we also want to have our cross-axis alignment dot start. And let's make sure that our title is using a better thing. So we can go theme of context dot text theme dot headlines display small. That seems kind of big. Is display bigger than headline? No. Okay, headline small, maybe headline medium. Cool. And then, we have all these things. Now, the thing is our model here definitely has more to it than that. So we have a title, we have a subtitle, we have a price. We don't really care about created at. It's just part of my boilerplate. We don't care about is active because in theory is active will always be true because we're filtering that on the server side anyways. So this is a good place to have a list tile. That's all I'm saying. Look at this. We can just go title, text of item dot title. Subtitle, text of item dot subtitle. Is that always? I guess so. Trailing, we do a text of the item dot price dot to string. Actually, we're gonna want a money sign, so let's wrap it in these guys. What did I do wrong? There. And we're going to put a money sign here, but we can't put a money sign without having a escape character. So now we actually have, hey, this is looking like a menu, guys. I also want to get rid of, I think, the content padding for now. Insets dot, should be able to do just dot 0. Yeah, so now stuff kind of lines up better. And we see how it's like 18.0. We want to make sure we do a dot to string as fixed of 2 fractional digits. We always want to show 2. It's money, right? Oh my gosh, $75. I don't think this data is real. Don't worry. We don't have pictures, but if we did, we would put it as a leading thing. Now, we might want to wrap this whole thing in like a card or something, just to give them, that doesn't look as nice. I kind of like it just being like plain like that. Now can we, all right, wicked. We got a menu. We got a menu, guys. Now we need a way to actually create an order, right? So let's have a leading or something of, let's have just like an icon button unpressed. We'll do something, and this can just be maybe like icons.add. Boom, boom, boom. I do think we need some kind of light divider between these things. So we're actually going to wrap this also in a column. Main exercise.min and cross-axis alignment, cross-axis alignment.start. That way we can kind of put a little divider here, which we might just use the default divider. That's okay. What does divider let us pass in? Color. I want to make it like really subtle. With values alpha 0.03. There. That looks all right. Now, what we can also do, because look, when there's no subtitle, it kind of looks weird. So subtitle, let's do item.subtitle.is not empty. We'll do this. If not, we'll do, I think I can just do null, right? So then we'll get it to align better. So we're not actually creating a subtitle unless there is one. Okay, cool. So this is neat. Now we get to actually maybe have some fun. So what we want to do is now in our menu item, I'm going to do everything in this. Like I could rename this too, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Let's create a order dining order provider .dart. All right, and this will be interesting. So we're going to have dining order provider, but we don't use the word provider here because we're using the generator. It's going to add provider for us, and it's going to extend our dining order. We are going to do this as @riverpod. So that imports our annotation, yay, and we have to do part of, I'm just going to take that one, but rename it, provider. Now, what kind of state is this going to have? That's something we actually need to make. We need a model that represents this, but we don't need this model to necessarily be like using freeze. It's just something we want to make our lives easier. So let's just have let's call it dining order model .dart and class dining order. I'm not going to have the word model. Although that's going to, we will actually have the word model here. And what is this going to have? It's going to have a final, oh wait, we don't want to actually, yeah, we're going to have a few different classes in here. So we need a class that actually represents a dining order item. Yes. And it's going to have a reference to a menu item, and a final int of quantity. Now we kind of already have something for this, but I am planning on just deleting a lot of that stuff. Like the order item is basically what I'm talking about because we're not going to need any of that. Because this is a little bit different than like typical CRUD. It's a little more like intertwined. And we need to, of course, we can probably just go like this. Yeah, menu item and quantity. And yeah, let's just make, let's do quantity equals quantity 1 by default. And what we're collecting in here is actually a list of these guys. And we'll just call it items. Now I'm realizing I can probably not even worry about having this anymore. Because this could actually be what we make our state, a list of these. I don't see any issues with that. We'll find out. So now we can do our override. And what we're going to be returning is a list of this. This is what our state is. And somehow no, there, that's what I thought. And by default, we're just going to return nothing. Okay, then we're going to have a helper. We'll just start with the add one. So this will be void, add item, and it's going to expect a, maybe we'll even just pass in, let's do a menu item, and quantity. And we'll do this as a optional parameter, quantity equals 1. And basically here, we would just go state equals kind of. It's actually going to be a little more, we won't even write this yet because we need to run our generator anyways. So let's save everything. This didn't, there's definitely an error here. I know there's errors because missing a semicolon. That's our problem. Okay, so let's run our generator here. So we get all the lovely stuff. Okay, so I mean the easy way to do this would just be state equals, we basically take whatever our state is, and we then do, we add in a new dining order item where we pass in the menu item of item and the quantity of quantity. That would, kind of work fine, but if someone already had this item in their cart, we can call this a cart, I guess, too. It needs to handle that use case and actually just like, add one to it. So I guess we just have to check, is it already in the cart? So if we can just have like final exists equals state dot for index where, and we'll do a test. Item, let's call that yeah, item is fine. Are we using item already? Yeah, we don't want to use item there. Let's just call this x. X dot menu item dot id. Do I have a UID? Yeah, is equal to x dot, or is equal to item dot UID. So we're actually going to call this existing index. Now, so this will be a number that comes back. It won't be null, but if it doesn't exist, the way this works is this will be -1. So we can essentially go like if existing index is equal to -1, or we can just say less than 0. We're going to do this. Else, we are going to we'll create something called existing in this case. Existing item is going to be equal to our state at the existing index. So that gets now a reference to that exact one. And then we can go state equals state dot remove at existing index dot how do I usually do this? We want to remove it. Oh, I thought I had a double dot here. Double dot remove at dot add, and then we essentially want to make a new dining item that still uses the same menu item. Or actually, we're going to use insert for this. But for quantity, we want to take whatever the existing items. Oh wait, this should be the same. Yeah, quantity should be whatever the existing items dot quantity is plus 1. And then the insert requires us to pass in the existing index. Almost got it. To do insert backwards? Yeah, it's just backwards. So this will essentially remove that item at the existing index and insert it again. So it's replacing it. But what it's doing is it's making this change. It's going to take the quantity and do this. So that will work, except we shouldn't actually be doing +1. We should be doing plus quantity, because essentially when you're adding we want that. Okay, so that'll let us, I think that'll work to give us our add item. Let us, on our dining menu screen, because I need some kind of like persistent cart kind of thing. Like I'm making this up as I go. That's usually how I roll. But basically on the screen, let's just have at least for now, let's have a column for this, but we're going to wrap this one in an expanded, so it takes up as much space as possible. But then underneath it, we're going to have another widget, which let's actually make that as its own thing. Let's call it dining menu. I'm going to call it a cart, because that's really what it is. And we'll make it say this thing called dining menu cart, which is going to use our base component. We're going to import in the things we need. Material, this. And final, we're going to just state equals ref.watch. And what we want to watch is our dining menu or dining order provider. So you'll see this is a reference of all the items. We can even call this items. And let's think for a second. For now, let's just have yeah, like a count of all of them. Now our count needs to be a little more, a little smarter. So let's actually create something called count here. And we're basically going to take our items, and I think we can fold on it. We're starting, how does fold work again? Initial value. So we start at 0. Then we have the A and B, which A is going to be whatever the sum is, and B is actually the item itself. So what we take is we take A plus B dot quantity. So this will actually give us a count looping through all the items and actually using the quantity as the thing that's going to go. So let's go add, let's actually just return text here. Actually, we'll use a container, child text, and we'll use count.toString. This is just temporary, so. And we need to save this. Oh, we need to actually make a, we actually have to call this in. So you see, there's super tiny, but there's like this little 0 here. So now on our widget itself, we're going to, where should we do this? We only really care once this is coming around. We can say cart equals ref, or yeah, let's have cart provider equals ref.read, and we'll use our dining order provider dot notifier. Then we'll have our something called like cart items equals ref.watch. We don't even, we might not even need that. We'll put it if we need it. But basically here, all we really need to do with the plus button is going to use our cart provider.add item, and we're going to add in the item. Look, it auto-populated for us. That's nice. Okay, so let's save. And in theory, if I click this plus, we should see those numbers going up. Look at that. We built a counter app. It's like super tiny. Okay, so the cart, I'm going to rename this actually. Let's call this cart indicator or something. It's just because it's not really the full cart. It's just like going to show us kind of, what we have. Cart status, cart summary, let's call it. Dining menu cart summary. So let's call that, let's rename this too, and actually add the word widget too. I'm trying to do that. I'm just trying to be extra clean here, which means let's rename this again to add the word widget. Okay. So what we really want to return here is maybe like a card as a child of a list style. I love list styles. And its title, well, let's just do its yeah, title, text. We can actually do the count here, and whatever, yeah, we'll do toString. Its subtitle will be text total items. Let's just see if that looks any better. So there we have this here. Now, I think the card has some margin, which I don't really want. 0. We can just do edge sets.0 here. We are getting that padding on the edge, which actually that's not terrible, especially if we go to here and we actually just add like a sized box with a height of like 8 or something. It'll kind of look like stuff's floating, you know, but we won't see this under here, which is actually kind of a nice thing. So there we have 7 items, boom, boom, boom. And then we need just a way to open the cart, and I think clicking anywhere on this should open it. So let's oh yeah, it's a list tile, so we can do on tap. So we're gonna like show a modal bottom sheet, and it's builder. Do I have a modal bottom sheet? That's the built-in bottom sheet. Just want to remember how this works. So clicking it, yeah, that's going to show our little thing, which is kind of cool. And on this, yeah, we'll have like a column. And what's cool is we could probably, oh no, we can't. I don't want to do that. I mean, we could, yeah, let's just have a column with children, cross-axis alignment, start, and main axis size dot min. And its children are going to, first of all, be a text of order summary, and we can give it a style dot, what were we doing? Maybe like headline small for this. Let's just see how that looks. Whoa. Okay, we do actually want this whole thing wrapped in a container because that's just going to give it the max width. Oh, no, it doesn't. Because I guess the column is shrinking it. Do double dot infinity on that, and then it should, cool. Okay. So, I mean, this is super shitty, but it works. We're going to, and this can actually be a sized box in this case, at least for now, unless we want to style it. And here we'll have some padding. Okay, so what I want to do now is, because something that's like annoying is I have to keep re-clicking this every time I make a change because this data will not hot reload because it's kind of like called as a function. However, if we extract this widget, and we're going to just do it in this same file, at least for now. So I'm going to call it, what do we call this one? Dining menu cart details widget. So what's cool now, because we're just returning a widget from this widget will actually hot reload. So meaning when we come in the next time, at least, I can change something here in the widget and you'll see it'll actually update. That's just a really nice tip. Padding is probably could be more. Order summary, yeah. Okay, so we have that. And then we're going to have we're going to spread. So we need to actually get access to the items in this as well, which is totally safe to do, which means we need to make this a base component and get access to widget ref. And just so I don't make a mistake later, we'll change it to body. So now we can actually loop through the items, or map through the items really. And and we'll just call this item. Maybe we'll call this entry, because And in this case, we probably want a list tile again, guys. Like just keep the list tiles coming. So we would use entry dot menu item dot title, and then for the subtitle, we can kind of do something like quantity, and we would use entry dot quantity. So now you can actually see the stuff that's in here. This is pretty cool. Now we want to have a trailing of, we'll start with just having a remove button. So let's just put a icon button on pressed we'll come back to, but its icon will be icons dot like remove or something. Remove circle. I feel like that looks better than just remove. So there we have this lovely thing here. Now our list tile, I want to do the content padding as edge insets dot. I wish I could see the 0 one. I think it's just like probably at the end of the list. Cool, this looks way better already. So we have this lovely button now. We can remove this. Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this in a row. Do we want to? I'm trying to think if I want to, because I kind of want something to remove all, but maybe it makes sense just to decrement it. Just feel like having 3 buttons. I have an idea, and we'll get to that in a bit. So this will work. Okay, so now we also need access to the provider. It'll be the same provider we have in our, where else do we do this? Dining menu widget, this one, cart provider. So, and I'm just going to call it provider in this case. So when we click this, we actually going to do like something like provider.remove, remove an item. We'll call it probably remove item, and this will expect us to pass in the entry dot menu item. Now this doesn't exist. So let's click through to this, click here. So we have our add item. Remove item is perfect. Void remove item. And let's do menu item, and we'll just do that for now. So for this, we want to, this one I think is actually simpler. We're just going to state equals state dot remove where, and our test is going to be, we'll just call x again, x dot menu item dot UID we're using is equal to item dot UID. Okay, so let's save all that stuff. And in theory, this should remove it. Yay. Now, what I think I want to do is, because in most cases, like if someone just has one, you know, if someone just has one in it, decrementing it or removing it completely is the exact same thing. So I think I just want to kind of do something like if entry.quantity is greater than 1, we're going to do something like have a slightly different path. Otherwise, we're going to do this. Or we just keep it simple and make them have to, you know what, screw it. We're keeping it simple because I think this is actually better because I think most time when someone wants to remove something, they're just going to remove it all and then they can always add in 1. Okay, the other thing I want to do is this total items thing. We only want to really show it if there's greater than one thing. So we can go if items dot is not empty, then we'll have these two extra dudes. So basically when there's 0, we're never going to see it. If we click 1, we see we have one item. Yay. If we click this whole thing, we get the order summary. That's kind of, it's kind of all right. And then we can, decide to erase it. And we can go and add more things. And now I wonder if it's worth showing. Yeah, maybe we'll do something cool on the not in the order summary, but in this. Where's our actual list? Dining menu screen, dining menu widget. So where do we have the title? We have the item.title. Okay, cool. So let's also have the cart items. And this we actually just watch instead of read, but we watch the state itself, not the provider. And what we could kind of do in, where do we do the title? Like I kind of want to put in brackets, like, 1, 2, 3 on that kind of thing, just to kind of give some good feedback. So the title is right here. So we can go final quantity equals cart items or verseware or null. This is my favorite thing that shouldn't be in a separate package. Collection. Now this is collection.dart is part of Flutter. Even though it's like a separate package, every Flutter app will have this collection package. But it allows you firstware and null, which is awesome. So our test will be x dot menu item dot uid is equal to item dot uid. So this, this is the items themselves. Dot quantity, and then we'll fall back to 0. There. So this is basically going to get the one and then get its quantity, but it could be null, right? It doesn't find it, so we fall back to 0. And then therefore in here, where we have the title, we'll still have item.title. Oops. Item.title. And then right here, we can go quantity, and I'm just going to have a space. We're just going to add the space. It'll be invisible if we don't need it. Quantity is greater than 0. Then we're going to actually put in some little brackets here and specifically put the quantity. Otherwise, we're just getting an empty string. And actually, you know what? We can just put the space here. So you'll see, yeah, like this one's 3, da da da. We can also do something where, maybe the things that are in your cart, we actually make them a little bit brighter. So our title style maybe, or we make it bold. No, probably brighter. I don't like when things change from bold to unbold. Oops, style, text, style, font, color, item or quantity is greater than 0. We can do colors.white, for instance. Otherwise, I think null, because I don't think this is actually pure white. Looks like it might be. Maybe we will just do font weight. I'm going to use font weight dot bold. Okay, so you see, yeah, these ones look brighter because they're just a thicker font now. So in theory, if I get rid of the gem whatever thing, it's no longer bold. So I don't like that it like kind of reshapes stuff, but this is a decent enough solution. Just kind of calls it out that you've added that stuff. Okay. for fun, let's add a total price. I guess we would do that in the summary widget. So let's have a trailing, and we can kind of, I think price is going to kind of be, so we'll start at 0.0 just so it knows it's a double. We could, I think you can do this just to tell it what it's going to be. So for this formula, we would, yeah, start with A, but we'd use b.quantity times b.menuitem.price. So that'll be our price, and our trailing will be basically a money sign. We need to escape the first one, price. Doesn't need that. Oh yes, it will, because we want to do our price dot to fixed again, to string as fixed, 2. So now we see it's $120, whatever. When I add something, the price is going up. Decent. Let's do for this summary thing, or for this, instead of saying total items, let's make the title yeah, let's do this a little bit differently. So we're gonna have our count, and we're going to say items here, except item, the S we don't want to put unless. So if count is equal to 1, we're going to just do an empty string. Otherwise, we're going to add the S, so that's plural. Let's see if that works. So we see 6 items. It would say 1 item or 0 items if we ever had that, which is correct grammatically. Then instead of this, let's actually put the price right here. That looks good. 6 items, yeah. And that way, for our trailing, we can actually have like an app button, and our app button will say place order, and we need an on pressed. It's looking sexy. It's looking sexy. Place order, and we can do a confirm here equals, we use our confirm dialog dot show title. We'll just say place order, and then the body will be, are you sure you want to place this order? Because this is like kind of like a hotel sort of thing, so we don't have to, we're not actually taking the payment here. It gets like added to their thing, but we want to make sure they like didn't just do it by accident. And then confirm text, we can just say place order as well. Cancel text will just be cancel. And we want to await this, so we need to make it async. And we want to say if confirmed does not equal true, we're just going to return and not do whatever else we need to do. So let's try clicking place order. Are you sure you want to place this order? Place order. Cancel. That looks good. And if I click place, it would continue through, but there's no code anyways. So, okay, so we kind of have that now. We can make this better. Like for instance, like you might not know to click on that. Order. Dollars. You could even just do a. I'm gonna just try something here. And then we can kind of create like some text here that says view details. Which we're going to want to space these to plug something in. maybe like 6. And let's make this style text style font weight dot bold. Oh, I know what we want to do. Okay, I'll be right back. I told you I'd be right back. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have this view details button, which isn't even actually going to be a button, guys. It's just going to be text, but clicking it will make this work. And then we essentially are going to use this as the subtitle. And we're going to take this here, and we're going to get rid of this. And let's actually reverse these and put these in brackets. There we go, $172. And then basically clicking this. You can click anywhere, but this at least kind of, makes it obvious. Okay, so then we see our details now. Edit details. I like view details. Okay, so then you can remove them. All is good. Are you sure you want to place this order? Okay. Trying to decide what I want to do next. So there is something else. Because there's actually extra data. There's like a wine list too. So we're actually going to kind of hard code something in here. So we have the dining menu widget, which this is a list view builder. We actually want to add something to the very top. So I'm actually, hang on, how do I want to do this? We're going to have something called like wine selection, which is going to use the same style here. Oops, style. However, we only want to show basically this if index is equal to 0. So we're gonna kind of inject it to the very first item, and we're gonna do it this way just because I'm going to be adding probably multiple things. Now we only have one item anyway, so we're gonna have wine selection, and in this case we'll have first of all a list tile because we love list tiles. Yeah, I think we can do that. Title, text. Sorry, not text. We're going to use actually a text form field here. Let's see if that looks okay. Decoration, input decoration, placeholder, or hint text, I think. Hint text will be this is just a weird thing they want to do because their wine menu is like always changing. They're just going to have a PDF input. The annoying thing is this isn't going to affect the price because. So I wonder if this should be something that's just asked after the case. I think that's probably the way to do it. So maybe the place order is actually um, the place order button actually says just like next because people might be like, so in which case we probably don't need this. I'm going to keep it for later. We don't need that. So next is then going to probably go to a different screen that has like a form and lets you, choose your wine. There's a few other things I think we have to ask. Um, okay, so let's make that screen then. We have a dining menu screen, dining, wine, selection, screen, Dart. This will be a stateless consumer. Wine selection screen. Base component, and let's import some stuff, material, and our lovely widget ref, and make this say body. The app bar, oops, app bar. Oh, this should be, sorry, this should be base screen. App bar, return an app bar. Its title will be text wine selection. And that's good enough for now. So let's go to our routes for this, which is actually, we're just putting the booking routes again. And we will use our dining menu wine selection screen here. Import. And we will need a dot route. So let's add that in to here. Dining menu, and I can actually just do like /wine selection, sure. And then our next button, wherever that went, is actually going to do context.push. Dining menu, wine, dining menu. Oh, dining wine. That's why. Oops. Where did this go? That's what we want. Dot route. Okay, now I do have to do a green arrow reload for this because a new route happened. In loft dining. Add a couple things to my cart. Go next. And then look, we're in the wine selection. Yay. Okay, so our wine, we can just probably close everything now because our wine selection screen, maybe actually, so here we would, I guess, return probably a column. We'll start with children. We'll have some text that says, Our wine selection is always changing. Please view. Please open the PDF below. And um, cool. Theme.of context dot text theme dot body large. Cool. Let's make this also a line. Let's just get a bit of space at the start of this. Maybe we'll have just a hard enter there. Please only view. And then, yeah, we would have some kind of button here. View PDF. Unpressed. We're not going to worry about showing that right now. Let's add some spacing of 8 PDF. Then we would have our text form field, which would have a decoration of input decoration hint. Input your choice here. And then let's have a row after this with a, we'll have an app button that just says text, sorry, should just be skip. Unpressed, whatever, and type dot text. Then we'll have another one that says next. And this will just use the default button, so we don't need to put that. And let's make the view PDF button. Let's just see what an outline one looks like. I'm gonna do something a little bit different here. I think this might look nicer. This title text. And let's grab our wine selection is always changing. And then we can have the, please open. Please view the PDF and import your choice below. Then the trailing is going to actually be this button here. Oh. Too much text. I think this is still the right way to go. We also want to make sure our content padding is edge insets. Can I just go up? Nope. Dot 0. Okay, cool. line. Um, yeah, whatever. Line options is fine. And then we can. This looks okay. So view PDF would just open that in the browser. That's fine. And then we have a place to type in what you want. Yeah, there you go. Looks beautiful. Yes, for this, I meant to do main axis alignment dot. Actually, I kind of think if it's just at the end, it's going to look actually pretty cool. Yeah, next and skip. Now, these are going to basically do the same thing, but it's just, to make people feel like they can, just skip it. I mean, skip will probably like clear it out in case they have something typed in and decide not to. Okay, so basically I would go here, yeah, go here. I can still change my cart. Sweet. Um, all right. Then what else do we need in this? Um, yeah, you know what we're gonna do? This won't be called whining. Let's rename this. This will be called dining. Um, Order confirmation screen, or dining extra additional dining order additional, and then I'll just call it details. It doesn't matter what it is. What do we call this? Let's also just call this, or let's just call this order details or something. Doesn't really matter. Oh, and then because we renamed this route, it's no longer found. So we gotta go through this again. In loft dining, boom, boom, sure, boom. Wine options. So here's your order details. Cool. Um, yeah. Okay. The other thing we need is an additional comments. Um, mm, yeah, we're gonna still call this additional details. Um, and we're going to have we're actually I'm gonna get rid of this for now because we're going to have choice here, um, optional, just so people know. Then let's have a divider. And let's have a, because now we need to have something for additional comments. So let's just grab another text form field. Additional comments. However, we'll make this one min lines 3, max lines 5, just so it kind of has this sort of thing. So wine option, additional comments. Then, even though I love the look of this, but we can't really have a skip button anymore. So really, it's just going to be this. And maybe we'll just throw another divider in, at least for now. But I love that actually being, yeah, maybe we don't need the divider. Let's remove let's wrap this. I could wrap this in a row and do the same thing, but there's another way we can do it. We're just using a line. use alignment dot right, center right. Now I'll go over there. And I guess in this case, this would be place order. We should probably have a before the place order. Yeah, maybe we do another divider, because we might want to have the that like order summary stuff. In fact, we could probably use everything this widget has in it. But we want to add the price also, which maybe actually we add that to this widget too. Let's do that. The summary widget. So we have our order summary, then we go through, we get all the items, then maybe we have, a divider after that. And we can put a total price just at the bottom right. So we'll do text. And do we have access to that price? No, but we've done this somewhere before. Probably on here. Cart items. Wait, where do we? Yeah, we did this somewhere. Here we go. Price. To string as fixed with 2, which means, oh, we do still need this because I want to put a $sign. And we can do that same thing, right? Wrap with a widget, alignment dot right. So then we have this cool thing, but let's make this stand out a little bit more. Dot, maybe body large will do it. Yeah, that looks all right. $37. And it's cool because this will just update, right? Love it. Love it. Yeah, I want to kind of also have a next button here. So I wonder if just putting this, if we actually made this, let's remove this widget, wrap this in a row. Wrap in a row, there you are. And here we'll have our app button. That is, label will say next. And this will essentially do the exact same thing we're doing up here somewhere, right here. Let's just see how that looks. And then we want to use our main axis alignment dot space between. So that goes that way. And we can probably do a cross-axis alignment of start. So that, start. So that the price is kind of just, not really related to this. Oh, that did look kind of good. I think we will keep it like this. And then maybe to solve this, we'll actually just use a larger font. But yeah, it's too big. Headline small, headline medium. Yeah, that feels pretty balanced. So now I should be able to hit this next and it'll do the same thing before. Yeah, perfect. Okay, cool. Now, the reason I was looking at this is I kind of wanted to replicate this summary, but I don't necessarily want all. I think we could kind of do this one a little bit differently. So let us, first of all, on the screen, right now we just have a column. This really should be a list view because we want it to be able to scroll, which means we lose our spacing, which kind of sucks. We could wrap the column in a single child scroll view. That's basically going to be the same concept. But it'll only scroll, I think, if there is stuff. Let's just prove that to be true. Container height of 500 or something. So I make sure that this will scroll. Yeah. Okay, cool. Because that's always the worst when something you forget to put some like a scrolling thing, and it works on your simulator, but then someone on a smaller phone can't hit the place order button. It's always a bad time. Not that it's ever happened to me. Okay, wine options, comments, and then yeah, let's put a order summary. So we'll kind of do order summary. And on our column, let's just add a cross-axis alignment of start. So that stuff doesn't do that. This is probably too big. Headline small, order summary. Okay, so in here, we're essentially going to loop through all of our items. Do we have access to that? We don't, but we can get it. Yeah, let's just grab all this stuff. This is a little bit of repetitive things. I might refactor that and have some provider that gives us access to these things. But we might not need count, but we'll probably want to have the total price. Okay, so in here, we're going to basically have, we're going to take our items dot map. We've done a million times. Now let's just call this item. And this is going to return a row. Children. First thing in it will be the name, item dot menu item dot, or title, I guess. What am I doing wrong? There we go. And we were actually going to wrap this in an expanded for two reasons. And then after the expanded, we're going to have a text of this might be actually another good place for a list tile, to be honest, because we can have return list tile. The title can be text of, this is what we're going to do. Text will be the item dot menu item dot title. So let's just see if that shows up. We also want to make sure our list tile has the content padding of edge insets dot 0. And then its trailing will actually be a text of item. We're going to put this in a string. It'll be item. Actually, we'll put it in brackets. You'll find out why soon. Item.quantity times item.price. Item.menu item.price. We want to actually put a real money sign there, and we want to make this whole, whatever after this calculation, we want to do toString as fixed, 2 digits. So we should see that that's $18 in total. And we can put, for the title, we can actually do something like this. Item.quantity. So we can say like 1, if we were to edit this, and let's add actually a bunch of things. I don't like how the bolding does that, but oh, there, see, we should fix that while we're seeing it. So I think to fix that, we just need to do where we show the model. See, we do scroll controlled true. Let's just reopen that. There, that solves that. Go next. So here's our summary. So yeah, list tiles are not what we want, because I was thinking I would want to show like the price of each, but I don't think that really matters. We just want to see the total price based on the quantity. So line selection screen, although I'm going to rename this screen. Instead, we are going to do something like this where we have the menu and title. However, we're going to use this right here. So we get that little X-y thing. And then we're going to use this as the second bit of text. Okay. Nice. Then let's grab this align again, but instead of an app button, let's actually take the total price. Let's call this total price. And again, we need our lovely money thing. And for this, we want this obviously to be bigger. Body large. Still not enough. Display small is going to be way too much. Headline small. That seems all right. And then yeah, let's put okay, this is a fun tip for y'all if you're still here. What I want to do is if it's the last one in this thing, I want to essentially make the last price underlined because then it will look cool, right? It'll be like kind of like an invoice, which is what this kind of is. However, we don't know the index because we're just looping through them here. If we want to get the index, we actually have to do items dot as map dot entries. Then we're going to call this entry. And what an entry is you can see this is actually a map of int and this and the actual item. So we actually have access to the index. This will be 0, then 1, then whatever. So now we can do final index equals entry dot key. That's the first one. And final item equals entry dot value. So now that we have that, everything will still work with item, but we have access to index. And what we can do is have something like final is last is equal to if index is, this is something I will always mess up for my whole life, is greater or equal, this is probably wrong, but let's just put it for now. So style equals text style, underline, decoration, and we can do is last, input decoration dot underlined input not input decoration, hell, it's text decoration dot underlined else text decoration dot none. I need a -1 there. There we go. So you'll see it comes on the last one when it's the last one, and we get a little underline, and that looks pretty cool. And I wonder now with that if we want to make this actually just like maybe we just want to bold the default text. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Cool. Now I kind of hate this divider here. Yep, this looks cool. We could probably have just a little more breathing room. Oops, I put it in the wrong spot. Wanted it there. Yeah, that looks all right. Something like that. And then similarly, a little more breathing room after this. We could, you know what we could do? You know what we can do? Just 'cause I love that look that we kind of made by accident. Let's have one that says cancel. We'll make the main axis alignment dot end, and we'll make this one just a text button, or yeah, type app button type dot text. Like that just looks cool to me. And our cancel, we'll have like a confirm thing. Let's just actually have that. Well, not the exact same one, but we actually are going to want this here. Oops, just did JavaScript for a second. And let's also, for the cancel one, have a confirm. And this is always annoying because the cancel text by default is cancel. I'll show you what I mean. So like if we want to make the confirm text on this the word cancel, which is like kind of correct. It's like cancel order. Are you sure you want to? Yes, I do want to cancel, but then like cancel. um, so really we want the cancel text um, we definitely want to override that because that's so confusing. We can say like never mind. We have to um, let's like do yes, cancel, and then no. Actually, let's do this. Cancel order. And then this would basically push you back to something. Do I have toasts yet done? Toast message, context, and then canceled. Canceled. Is that how you spell cancel? Is there two L's or is there one, people? Two seems right. Order canceled. Now we only want to show the toast if context.mounted is true. So let's just make sure that that works. If I do this, we shouldn't see it. If we do this, order canceled. To figure out why this toast thing is weird. It'll be easy to fix. I just don't feel like figuring it out right now. Also, do we want to have a divider here? Maybe. Yeah, that looks all right. I'm no designer. Okay, cool. And then yeah, place order. Are you sure you want to place this order? Place. And then it will do something. Okay, so yeah, maybe we want to show that message, and then we also want to do context dot pop. That will only go back one page. We really want to go back to probably 2 pages. So let's cancel order. Boom. Order canceled. In loft dining. Hey, that's kind of cool because I'm not using the keep alive with this. As soon as all the watchers don't care about it anymore, it goes away. So I don't have to worry about clearing the order. I love it. Boom, boom, boom. So we can click that. We can click that. Oh, here's going to be an issue though. If I do cancel now, we're actually still going to get stuck here, which that's not the end of the world. The way we can solve that, and it's because we had this thing up. So in our we can get rid of this now. Yeah, when we push here, although is this the right one? This is not the right one. In this modal that actually comes up in our next, we actually need to do a context.pop first to get rid of this thing. So let's make sure that works. So if I'm in this one, we should do that, and that one goes down. So now it'll actually work. And we'll get back to the main screen. All right, that's pretty cool. I think I'm gonna leave it there for this stream slash this work session. We did a lot. Menu, ordering food. It's the worst commit message ever, but I'm freaking tired. But yeah, I still need to do this work on the back end to, actually capture the order and all that kind of stuff. But this was, I think, pretty good accomplishment for that amount of time. I just want to play with it for a minute. But yeah, if you're hanging out still or you're watching this later, thanks for hanging out and watching this later. like, subscribe, whatever. And see you guys around. Thanks for hanging.